The average American will walk past 11 murderers in their lifetime. This number, however, doesn't take social media into consideration, where we have access to the lives of over 4 billion people worldwide. TikTok has quickly grown into one of the most popular social media apps in the world, with 1 billion monthly active users. That's over 20% of internet users worldwide. In the United States alone, 50 million people use TikTok daily. While TikTok has seen a drastic increase over the past few years, so has another statistic: murders in the US. Between 2019 and 2020, the murder rate rose 30%. This is the largest increase we've had since 1905. Taking all of this into account, because more people are on TikTok, that means more murderers are on TikTok as well. How many average-looking people have you watched, not knowing their past or their future? For this video, I went on a hunt and found murderers that have used the TikTok app, and you'll be shocked to know that some of them are still using the app right now. Quinn Watkins. On January 5th, 2020, Rory Teasley, aka Choo Choo Pump for TV, unknowingly posted his very last TikTok. The 28-year-old joked about approaching his 30s, but unfortunately his partner of 10 years would make sure that that never happened. Quinn didn't have a large social media presence, and to my knowledge he never posted any videos on TikTok. However, Rory, his partner, was very popular on the TikTok app and had a following of over 200,000 people. On January 6th, the night after Rory posted his last TikTok video, 31-year-old Quinn Watkins called 911 and told the operator that he and his partner had gotten into a fight. Quinn told them that Rory was asleep on the couch. The officers tried to wake Rory up, but he was unresponsive and not breathing. He was pronounced dead at the hospital soon after. Police believed that Quinn choked his partner to death over a dispute about a video game, Overwatch. He was booked into jail in the early hours of January 7th and charged with second-degree murder. Quinn's last court date was February 15th of this year, and his case is still ongoing. I don't believe that Quinn has made a plea of guilty or not guilty yet, but according to the court's website, his last court date was May 19th. Victoria Mendoza. Okay, these fan edits and accounts are going to be even more disturbing once you learn what the woman in them actually did. Family members of 21-year-old Tawny Bird didn't fully understand how violent her relationship was with her girlfriend. They knew that the couple had issues, but Tawny hid much of the injuries that she sustained from her girlfriend Victoria Mendoza. According to Tawny's mother, they treated Victoria like family by helping her with school and employment, and Victoria even called her mom. Tawny's grandmother stated that they knew the relationship was going down a bad road, and that they both had tempers. They were both apparently jealous and controlling over one another, but they were also inseparable. The first sign that the relationship was getting increasingly worse was when family members asked Tawny about her chipped tooth. She lied for Victoria and covered for her, saying that it was an accident. When Tawny and Victoria argued, it often increased to violence, like hitting, kicking, and punching. But no one expected what would happen on October 18th, 2014. The couple got into an argument, leading Tawny to slap Victoria and pull her hair. Victoria then became enraged and snapped. She proceeded to stab Tawny a total of 46 times. Afterwards, Victoria called her sister and said that she had hurt Tawny and told her to meet her in a church parking lot. When her sister met her, she found Tawny deceased and obviously profusely bleeding from her wounds. In October of the following year, Victoria Mendoza pleaded guilty to first-degree felony murder. She also read a statement saying that Tawny's family was saying hurtful things to her, and she has no excuse for what she did. Before Victoria's sentence, Tawny's aunt told the courtroom, "Jealousy is the devil. It will kill. It's Victoria's fault she killed her and stabbed her. Why should she get one free day with the trees in the sky when Tawny cannot?" Ultimately, Victoria was sentenced to 16 years to life in prison. This sentence means that Victoria will spend at least 16 years in prison before she can be eligible for parole. The parole board could also deny her release when it's time. Now, even though Victoria murdered her girlfriend, it didn't stop the weirdos on TikTok from obsessing over her. They made fan edits, entire accounts dedicated to her, and still do. In May of 2021, Victoria Mendoza apparently made accounts on TikTok and YouTube under the Victoria Mendoza 1992. She eventually got over 1,000 followers and started sharing stories about her dreams, but she never mentioned that she killed her girlfriend. It's suspected that the person that was actually uploading this content is actually a friend of Victoria's from Tennessee, who would occasionally video chat her from prison. As of right now, her account is still on TikTok, but she only has 300 followers and all the content is gone. Tawny's father told the press that he never believed his daughter's girlfriend of over 5 years could be capable of killing her. He also stated, quote, "Anything is possible possible in domestic violence. It could be a gun, it could be a knife, it could be anybody. To parents, don't take this lightly. It's deadly. He's now a strong advocate against domestic violence. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to this 24/7 hotline. Nico Khloe, aka the Vampire of Paris. This is by far the most disturbing killer I'm going to talk about, and trigger warning, it's very gruesome and graphic. Nico Khloe started his TikTok account in December of 2021. His first post was a human skull. This is very fitting for the story I'm about to tell you. Nico was a lonely child, and he apparently never formed a close bond with his parents. He said this led him to grow emotionally cold and have a difficulty feeling empathy for anyone. This is the time he developed a fascination with death and the occult. At the age of 10, Nico and his grandfather were arguing when he suddenly died from a blood clot that traveled to his brain. Nico's family blamed him for his grandfather's death, and this isolated him further from his family and society as a whole. This is when he started wandering graveyards and breaking into mausoleums to satisfy his obsession with death, but it wasn't enough to satisfy it. In his own words, one morning he woke up feeling, quote, the sinister urge to dig up a corpse and mutilate it, and that's exactly what Nico did. He wandered into an isolated mausoleum, pulled a casket out, and ripped it open with a crowbar. He continues, quote, then I saw the body inside. It was a half-rotten old woman, shrouded in a white sheet, covered with brown stains. Her face seemed to be smeared with oil, but it was simply the death fluids oozing from her skin. The stench was so intense that I nearly fainted. I tried to lift one side of the sheet, but it was glued to her petrified skin. The teeth were protruding from the mouth, but her eyes were gone. I stared into her empty eye sockets, and all of a sudden something broke in my mind. That's when I picked up the screwdriver. The corpse inside the coffin started to move slightly, like it had guessed what was about to happen next. So I began to stab the belly, the rib area, and the shoulders. I stabbed her at least 50 times. I really can't remember. All I can remember is that when I woke up, my forearms were covered with corpse slime. Nico also claimed that if there was just bones inside the coffins, he would take them home and build a totem out of them. In 1993, at the age of 21, Nico began working at a hospital for children, but he wasn't curing the sick. He was working in the basement morgue, stitching up the dead. Now that the bodies were a little more fresh, Nico got a real taste of death. No, really. He started eating dead children. When left alone with these corpses, he would cut off strips of their skin and eat it raw. He said, quote, sometimes I brought select meats home with me to be cooked, but my preference was to eat them raw. Nico also began stealing blood-filled bags from the hospital, which he would bring home mixed with protein powder, human ashes, and drink them like a smoothie, a cannibal smoothie. On October 4th, 1994, Nico decided to act on his most dangerous fantasy, taking a human life. Nico decided he would find his first victim on the computer through a website called Mentel. Mentel was an online service in France where people could connect before the World Wide Web was invented. French users had access to thousands of online services, including the ability to chat with strangers. Nico went into one of these chat rooms and connected with a man named Thierry Bissonnier. The two began chatting about BDSM, but that was the last thing on Nico's mind. At noon that day, Nico arrived at Thierry's apartment with a gun. After he entered the apartment and shut the door, Nico immediately pulled out the gun and shot Thierry in the face. He noticed that Thierry was still moving, so he shot him several more times to make sure that he was dead. As Thierry died, Nico sat in the corner, eating cookies and watching it unfold. Weeks later, he attempted to use Thierry's license by pasting his own photo over Thierry's. He was trying to purchase a video camera, and the employee quickly noticed that this was a scam. He called police, but Nico had already fled. On November 15th, he was quickly arrested in the street when police recognized him from the forged license. And 3 years later, in 1997, Nico was found guilty of premeditated murder, robbery, and fraud. He was sentenced to just 12 years in prison, and after serving just 7 years, 4 months, Nico Khloe was released in March of 2002. Since then, he's become an author, an illustrator, and more. He has his own website, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. In 2021, he published a cannibal cookbook, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an ex-cannibal teaching you how to spice and cook human meat. It's sitting at 4.5 stars on Amazon, so it must be pretty good. His website, serialpleasures.com, is where he lists all his paintings and art and prints of serial killers, mass shooters, and disturbing murderers, including himself. And you can even pay him to make a portrait of yourself. The most fascinating thing, at least to me, that he sells, however, are the adult toys, which obviously I can't show you on here, but yeah, it's murder-themed toys that you put inside of you. As of now, Nico has a little under 1,000 followers on TikTok, and from what I've seen, it looks like he's living his best life. He's done a ton of interviews talking about the murder and his art and all that stuff, and I'll link them in the description below if you want to check those out. Hi, if you're still watching this video, you should give it a like and a comment. Zachary Latham. In August of 2020, Zachary Latham's mugshot littered news headlines across the globe with this title: Teen accused of killing neighbor to become TikTok famous. I'm sure you've heard this story, but if you haven't, here we go. So the story really starts 2 years prior. Zach lived with his grandparents 2 doors down from the Durham family. In 2018, Zach, who was then 16, was driving recklessly through the neighborhood. Constantly. This prompted William Durham Sr., the father, to approach Zach and ask him to stop. Zach then apparently went back to their home and apologized to them after his grandparents forced him to. But he still continued to drive recklessly.
You said I'm an Yeah?
And the Durhams weren't the only ones to complain about Zach's driving. Several police officers and even a court judge that lived in the same neighborhood made complaints and reported his behavior as well. When Zach turned 17, he joined the New Jersey National Guard and married his girlfriend, Sarah. And over time, Zach continued to drive like a deranged man through his neighborhood, presumably to instigate confrontation from the Durhams. From 2018 to early 2020, the confrontations and arguments increased. The Durhams did seek help from authorities, but they were told that due to the pandemic, they couldn't file a complaint. So the Durhams could basically do nothing, and they became increasingly frustrated. That's when Zachary and his wife Sarah saw an opportunity: TikTok content. In April of 2020, Zach recorded this video between himself and Catherine Durham that gained over 3 million views.
What are you gonna do, Karen?
That's not my name, so get my name straight. Go ahead.
You okay, Karen? Go ahead, get my tag.
Go.
Get my tag, Karen.
My name is not Karen, so get my name straight.
Get my tag, it's okay.
A45MFA. Sir, there's an officer.
Obviously, without context, Zach can frame the situation to look like the victim and make Catherine look like a Karen. This next video shows an altercation between Zach and Catherine's son, which he posted on TikTok as well.
All because my car is loud. 3 cop cars. A knife, dude, you better play. I'm calling the cops on you, that's good. Alright. Yeah.
In that video, Zach warned that he had a knife and captioned the post, "Karen's son found out the video went viral and tried taking me out of the car." Sometime after the Karen video went viral, Zach apparently threatened to dox the Durhams if the video got enough views. Zach and Sarah were soaking in their newfound TikTok fame, all from mocking and harassing their neighbors. And this was further encouraged by users in the comments, begging for more content, more arguments, more confrontation. The couple quickly learned that the more intense the confrontation was, the more views they would get. And their lust for fame grew so enormous, they would cross deadly boundaries. On April 23rd, Zach posted a video on TikTok posing with a gun, and he told the camera, "This is how you handle neighbors." This video has since been taken down. The final tragedy would occur weeks after Zach's 18th birthday, on May 4th, 2020. Zach allegedly swerved his car at the Durham's 17-year-old son, who was on a bike in his neighborhood. This is when William Durham Sr. had enough. He pulled his truck onto the street and blocked Zach's car so that he couldn't go. Catherine Durham approached their car while filming and asked Zach why he swerved at her son and tried to hit him. Zach asked when, and Catherine responded, "You don't remember? Today when he was riding his bike, you swerved and pushed him against the curb." Zach denied this accusation, but admitted to honking at her son. Catherine said, quote, "It's on video, so get your shit straight, you little punk." Zach then said, "Get out of my face." And he swatted the phone and apparently struck her. Catherine goes, "Did you hit me? Did you hit me?" After the altercation, Zach managed to drive away 500 feet to his home. He then immediately went into his house to retrieve weapons. The Durham's sons, aged 17 and 22, pull up on their bikes, while Sarah is waiting, standing outside, ready to record their next viral video, which will actually end up in evidence for a murder. Sarah told the Durham brothers basically, quote, "I promise you, you better back up because you're not going to like what's coming out." I'm not going to go into graphic detail about this incident, but basically William Durham Sr. pulled up in his truck and he and his 2 sons approached Zach's house. Zach allegedly walked out of his home with a taser and a knife, and all 4 of them got into a physical altercation. Zach's wife repeatedly begged him to drop the knife or give it to her, but he wouldn't. At one point, Durham Sr. tried to get his son out of a headlock that Zach had him in, and that's when Zach allegedly stabbed William Durham Sr. This ended up puncturing his lung and being fatal. When the fight was done, William Durham Sr. was driven to his home and an ambulance arrived and picked him up and brought him to the hospital. And this is the 911 call Zachary Latham made to authorities.
Do you have emergency. There's blood all over the place. I just got assaulted and jumped.
Are you the one that got stabbed?
No, that was the other victim, but I got beat up really bad and I had blood all over me. They came with trucks, came on my property with guns, and then when I fought them off, they drove away.
All right, how are you injured, sir?
My windpipe was crushed in and I got stomped out and choked by like 10 people.
All right, and where are you bleeding from?
I don't know, there's blood all over me. I don't even know if it's cut. There's blood all over our garage.
Okay. Now, the
They
person,
came in and said they had guns and they were going to kill us, and they came in my garage and attacked all of us. There was 4 people.
Unfortunately, William Durham Sr. would pass away at the hospital shortly thereafter. Zach was treated for a concussion and then arrested and charged for manslaughter, plus 2 counts of aggravated assault and multiple weapons offenses. And he's not the only one facing charges for this incident. Catherine Durham was charged with 4th-degree criminal trespassing and simple assault for allegedly punching Sarah Latham. The Durham's 2 sons were charged with 3rd-degree aggravated assault and criminal trespassing. Zachary Latham was released from jail that same month and was allowed to relocate to Florida while awaiting his trial. There, he got a job as a car salesman and continued to post about the case and the Durhams on TikTok for clout. The Durhams obviously caught wind of this and filed a motion with their lawyer to revoke his release. But before the motion was even heard by a judge, Zach would be arrested again for something completely unrelated. On January 23, 2021, the police arrested him after he apparently threatened a motorist with a pellet gun that looked like an AK-47. Zach had a confrontation with this motorist and allegedly tried to ram that person's vehicle. Latham was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault and again freed after posting bond. The prosecutor for this case stated this about Zach in court. The defendant has used this crime as a source of acclaim in Florida, bragging that he is famous for being a cop killer. He has used this to intimidate others in hopes of preventing them from providing information and cooperating with the investigation. So as of right now, Zachary Latham hasn't been convicted or made a plea in this case for the charges. I'm not really sure when his next court date is or when this is scheduled to be resolved. Obviously, this guy has issues though. And I'm pretty sure Zachary Latham's account has been completely removed from TikTok. Mahek Bukhari. This video obviously did not age well. 22-year-old Mahek Bukhari has 130,000 followers on TikTok and over 3 million likes. But right now, she's sitting in jail facing murder charges. It's clear from her content that she's really close to her mother, who's also facing murder charges as well. Her TikToks mostly consist of basic jokes and her car, which is apparently the car she used to allegedly run 2 men off the road, killing them. All the details of this killing aren't available yet, but this is what we do know. According to police, on February 11th of this year, 3 vehicles were traveling at a high speed when they crashed. In one of those cars were 2 cousins, Muhammad Hashem and Saqib Hussein. Mahek, her mother, and her 21-year-old friend were in the 2 other cars. Allegedly, the 3 of them rammed the cousins off the road after a high-speed chase. The victim's vehicle ripped into 2 pieces, killing the cousins instantly. They were both just 21 years old. The trio was arrested right after the deadly crash at 1:35 a.m. and later charged with murder. Days later, it was announced that 2 more suspects were charged with murder in relation to the crash. It's not clear if they were at the scene of the crash, though. According to Muhammad's father, he was just driving his cousin to see a friend, and even borrowed the car from his grandfather. It's unknown if Mahek or the others charged even knew the victims. It could have been just a random act of violence, but we won't really know until September, when Mahek and the others will go to trial.